We are a country that loves to bet on horses. Every spring we track the 3 races of the Triple Crown, and every spring I always have the same thought. We're still doing this?
I got the horse right here, the name is Paul Revere, and here's the guy that says if the weather's clear, can do. This guy says the horse can do. If he says the horse can do.
Okay. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the weekend, everybody. Yeah. Here we are. You know what that song means? One thing. Fast and Firm Podcast, where the hosts are neither of those things. How's everyone doing? I am doing great. Kind of great. It's going to be a very flimmy show. It's going to be a flimmy show because I had a couple cigars last night, a couple whiskeys. So I'll try and cut the mic, but you may get some. If you're watching us on YouTube, you may see several instances of me clearing my throat. But grab yourself a nice coffee, settle in. Let's try and win some horse bets today. Before we get into that, I got to tell you about this. So, last Saturday, we took Lisa's parents out to dinner.
Okay.
To beautiful Merrillville, Indiana.
Merrillville's lovely this time of year.
Lovely this time of year. As far as architectural appeal goes, many people don't realize this. As far as architectural appeal goes, it goes Chicago and then Merrillville.
And then Paris.
And then probably Paris and, Rome, some of those other places. We went out for Thai food. Do you like Thai food?
Yeah.
They don't use any mayonnaise. I would figure you like Thai food.
That's right.
And believe it or not, Merrillville has a really good Thai food restaurant. And Lisa's parents had never had Thai food before, because her dad is allergic to eggs.
Okay.
So they're really selective on where they go out and eat, and nowadays you can get around that egg allergy pretty easily, but it didn't always used to be that way. You didn't always used to go into a restaurant, they were knowledgeable about all the allergies that they would have in their food. So, he's had a very basic, most of his life, he's had a very basic diet. Meat, potatoes, stay away from stuff that could get him sick. And just recently has been expanding out and tantalizing his taste buds with new food. So, we went for Thai food. And listen, we're very classy when we take them out.
That goes without saying.
We're taking care of it.
I think of class, and the first thing that comes in my mind is you.
When we take them out, we're taking care of the bill. Right?
Okay.
Which you should do. I mean, they're retired people. And they're not that they're not capable of taking care of the bill, but I feel, it's our responsibility to take care of the bill. So towards the end of the meal, I get up to use the bathroom. All right? And to be fair, the wait staff was not over attentive, we'll call it. But not like in a bad way. Right? I kind of liked it. They weren't being overly attentive because it just kind of gave us time to sit there and chat. But it's important for this story to note that they weren't being overly attentive. They were just
so the service sucked.
No, not even close to sucked. It just they were just letting us hang.
Okay.
Letting us hang. It was great. So I excused myself, and it was quick. It was just a number one, I promise. But I got back to the table, and everyone agrees we should ask for the bill. And Lisa goes, no. We took care of it. And then, of course, everybody's, oh, that's nice. Thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. All good. And then we get in the car, and we're starting to pull out of the parking lot, and Lisa goes, thank you for taking care of that.
I knew this was going.
And I said, yeah, no. Thank you for taking care of that. And she goes, no. The bill. And I was like, yeah, no. I know that technically I'm the man, and usually I pay, but you took care of it. And she was like, no, when you got up. And I went, no, when I got up, I went to the bathroom. And she was like, no, you did your thing. Because that's a move I'll do.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
I've done that.
I'll do that at the end of the meal. I'll get up and give my card and secretly pay. I think we probably all done that.
Yeah, I did that when we were in Keeneland.
You certainly did. And everyone appreciates that. But I had not done that.
So now you introduce Lisa's parents to Dine and Dash.
So I go, no. Because you looked at me and said we took care of it while I was gone. So you took care of it while I was up. She said, no. While you were up, you took care of the bill. I said, I did not. I did not take care of that bill while I was up. And she goes, ha. I go, ha, nothing. I didn't pay that bill while I was up. I went and I pissed. I had to piss. That's what I did. I took a steaming hot piss into the urinal, splashed against the wall, and walked back to the table. And then you looked me straight in the eyes and said, it's taken care of. And you said it as a matter of fact. She said, well, then nobody paid that bill if that's true. I said, are you serious? She said, yeah. So we drove back into the parking lot at the restaurant. And we got back to the parking lot, the wonderful servers that had let us be, let us have our chat, and left us alone. I mean, listen, they probably left us alone for 30 minutes. Well, these same people were outside in the parking lot. Sitting there going, where'd they go? Like, no, a group of people at this stage in their life, they wouldn't dine and dash, would they? That's not the type of thing that would happen here. It was a nice
Not
restaurant.
in Maryville.
Well,
I mean,
for it was a nice restaurant. Merrillville, for those that don't know, Merrillville was kind of This was a nice restaurant, though. I mean, they were just like, did adults really just dine and dash? Because we all just walked out comfortably, medium pace, go to the cars, goodbye, hugged. I mean, the whole thing. So we had to go back, and the waitress was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I was just looking for you." That's why I was outside my place of work, outside the restaurant. Here's the check. We were like, there was a miscommunication. We thought he thought I paid. I thought he paid. But she was literally holding the credit card machine outside the restaurant. And we both got out of the car. We're like, hey, we're here. Then, of course, I had to leave a bigger tip, right? Because of all
your normal 10%.
All the trouble and everything. I think the better thing to do would have been to blame it on her parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, they told
hey,
us.
Look, they're old. They're senile. They don't know. Like Uncle Leo.
They told us they paid, and then they called us and told us it was a prank, right? But no, we told the truth. So we paid, amped up the tip. Had to pay for the mistake. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I've never seen a more casual exit from a restaurant ever. Because everyone left the restaurant with the knowledge that bill had absolutely been paid. Plentiful tip had been left. There was nothing to be concerned of. Nice evening ends in the proper way, and we'll just, we all just get into our cars and drive home. Which is, which made me realize, if you're going to dine and dash, that's exactly how you have to do it. You have to method act and lie to yourself. I mean, we were at the cars for a while. Like, it wasn't just, sprint out of the restaurant and then sprint to the car and hit the gas out of there. I mean, it was see you later, sit down in the car, pick the music, look at traffic, try and figure out which way we want to take home. But all because she thought I had done my move. And I did not do my move. So, anyway.
And how was their
Worse.
first introduction to Thai food? Did they say something at the end, like next time we pick the restaurant, or?
No, they loved it. It's a great place. They got 2 locations. They got one in Merrillville. They got one in Tinley Park. So I always forget it's there. We don't eat out a ton, but I always forget it's there. But I love it. I always order the same thing. I order the seafood Penang.
Red or green? Or
Well, it only comes in red. Seafood Penang only comes in red. But her father had red curry with chicken, which was equally as good. And her mother, they asked me what to order, and mother, she had drunken noodle with chicken. And then Lisa had something that was, picked out of the garden in the back.
Food that food eats.
She doesn't eat meat. So, all right, we got any shout outs today?
Yeah, I give a shout out to Bob Burke. He was so anxious for this podcast today. He actually reached out to me yesterday on X or Twitter or whatever that is. So shout out to him today. Hope he has a good day right alongside with us.
Shout out to Brian Flynn too. Big fan of the show. Lots of support
and
for us on
a
Twitter.
pretty fair handicapper in his own right.
Absolutely. Who was in the picture he sent us yesterday?
I didn't get it. I didn't see
You
it.
got it. No.
I had like a ton of text messages yesterday from work, so I'm still catching up on some.
He took a picture with a jockey. He's in Louisville right now. He took a picture with a jockey. I couldn't figure out who the jockey was. You probably would know. I did not know who that was. So, all right, are you ready to go?
I am ready to go and kind of hungry for some Thai food.
I don't think we've not ever done a Kentucky Derby show, right? Because 2 years
we
ago
have.
we
We did it last year.
it-
I gave out the winner. Absolutely did
Right.
it last year.
I thought there was a technical issue and it never got out. Did it get out?
that I'm not sure. We were having quite
almost-
the amount of technical issues.
I have to go back and look, but because 2 years ago we started this dumb show the week after the Kentucky Derby, and then last year, I think there was a technical issue. I don't think it ever got out because I remember having the conversation with you about biggest racing day of the year, and we can't get the fucking podcast out.
And when you say we, you mean you.
When I say we, I mean the piece of shit software at
That I
Soundtrack.
asked you for like a year to switch, and you had to wait till right after my renewal to do so. Thank you very much.
I think the reason why we couldn't get that to work, it just because it happened right after your renewal. I think that Soundtrap changed the package on us, and you renewed for a package that wouldn't allow us to do what it was we were previously trying to do. They were always
It auto
changing.
renewed. I didn't change anything.
I know, right? But the package that you auto renewed to, I think, may have lost some features because they were always changing features with us over there. Yeah, don't use
One of the
Soundtrack.
features they changed was actually being able to get the podcast out. That
Yeah,
was a
don't
minor
use Soundtrack.
feature that they omitted.
If you're in podcast land out there, do not use Soundtrap. It is awful, and their technical support is awful, and they'll blame everybody but themselves. Their first solution is are you using Google Chrome? Yes, I'm using Google Chrome. Anyway, all right. So yeah, Kentucky Derby today, Louisville, Kentucky. It's gonna be good weather. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be good weather. So no surface changes. This may be the best Derby surface we've had to run on in the last 5 years,
Could be.
if I had to guess. So, we're going to try and get you home. First post today is at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. 9 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock on the West Coast. It's a long day. It's a long day because the Derby doesn't go off until, like, what time? Like,
It's late.
right
It's
yeah, I mean, the Derby doesn't go off until
7 o'clock
5:57
Eastern,
Central Time.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 hours. 8 hours after first post is when the Derby goes off. I understand they got to make it a whole production and everything, and they should. I mean, it's a, you know, anything you can do to promote the sport. But probably the best way to
100%.
consume this podcast is going to be to listen to us, you know, up through race 5. If you're trying to play the early pick 5 starts at race 1. Hit the pause button, put your ticket together, come back, unpause us. Listen to us through races 6 through 10, 11, 12. There's 14 races on the card today. Or if you just want to go race to race, listen to us up through race 1, hit the pause button, go get your bets in for race 1, come back, unpause us, listen to us through race 2, so on and so forth. You know, I don't recommend that you sit down and consume the whole 2 hours at once. Probably break it up race by race would probably be the best way to go. So, all right, let's go, race 1.
I'd sit down with my form or my program or whatever I'm using, and I'd listen to the whole damn thing, and I'd make notes, and I'd be ready to go.
Yeah, it's now time for race 1.
Race 1. Okay, race 1 at Churchill Downs. We've got a maiden special weight. This is for maiden 3-year-olds and up. We're going a mile and a 16th on the main track.
My top selection in here, I went all the way to the outside. I went to the 11, Power Shift. Todd Pletcher training on this one. I read Ortiz with the mount. Rapoli Stables owns on this one. All the connections in the world you could want, which is why you're getting a 3-1 morning line. Horse was last seen at Tampa, 7th of March, running in the Tampa Derby, Grade 3, where it was 6th out of 9 horses, 9.5 lengths back. That's not good. That was a full field, though. Puma was in that. Further Ado was in that. They're both running the Derby today. So tough field there in the Tampa Derby. Not a good start for this horse there, but they did take quite a bit of money in that one. Went off at 3.5 to 1. Horse broke its maiden 7th of February at Tampa. I'm sorry, did not break its maiden, which is why we're in a maiden race. Way to start the show off on a snafu, stupid. Was second in a maiden race, making its debut the 7th of Tampa, where it was the betting favorite. Went off at almost even money. Horse that won that race came back and won its next race. Horse finished 3rd in that race, came back and won its next race. So another quality field there. So this horse has been facing some really tough competition. Coming in here today, Derby day, maiden 120, going a mile and 16th, which is what it went in the Tampa Bay Derby. But that's pretty much it. Irad, Todd Pletcher. This horse is, 2 real tough races there, the maiden and then right in the Tampa Derby without breaking its maiden. Now coming back into maiden special weight. 3-1 morning line on the 11, Power Shift. That's going to be my top selection in here.
Yeah, so I'll just go right ahead and say that's my second selection in here for all the reasons you pointed out. That first race, the horse that won that first race, is also in the Kentucky Derby. That happens to be Emerging Market.
Market, yeah.
Pretty tough competition that this horse has faced. Derby winners. Looks like they rushed it into the Tampa Bay Derby probably for $500,000, trying to get some Derby points, maybe seeing if they had another Derby horse here. You regular listeners to this podcast have heard me talk about a combo on the undercard. This certainly fits that, so I think all systems are go for the 11. I did make it my second choice. My top choice, I went to a horse with just a little bit more experience, also a combo on the undercard, and that's the 6 Cromwell for Cherie DeVoe and Belladonna Racing. This is another $500,000 auction horse, getting reunited with Jose Ortiz for its start today, its second start as a 4-year-old. Horse had some decent races at fairgrounds and did run a real nice race back in May. That might have been Kentucky Derby Day in the slop last year with Jose Ortiz. So there's a little bit more foundation to this one. And again, $500,000. They've had high hopes for this horse. You're getting a 6-1 morning line. I like the fact that this horse raced March 7th at the fairgrounds, but then has a string of workouts over the Churchill Downs surface to get acclimated with it. So I'm going to go ahead and make the 6 Cromwell my top selection.
And the 6 Cromwell is going to be my third selection in here. Yeah, it's a 4-year-old that still hasn't broken its maiden yet. 0 for 7, but three second place finishes. This is now how do you not classify this in 7 starts, 3 second place finishes, 5 at the distance, 3 second place finishes? How do you not HFR this horse as a 4-year-old?
I'm going to give it another shot. It's only making its second start as a 4-year-old. Those HFRs tend to be older horses, but you can be a 3-year-old. And this horse might be a rat. It might be a hanging rat. But I think that this is like a well-met horse with a little bit of bottom. It's had some excuses, a couple of sloppy races in there, so we shall see.
I threw that one in
We
there.
shall see if it's getting its picture taken at a $15 win price or if it's running second or third again.
I threw that one in there, and I thought Mark is going to go, hey, does it say HFR in your publication there? I never thought in a million years you would have put that horse on top. My second selection in here, I went to the 9, Winston Avenue.
He's
Bob
out.
Baffert trained. This is where we need that sound effect. This guy here is dead. He's out, huh?
He's
all right. Well,
scratch him off then.
Yeah, scratch him off him. This guy here is dead. Well, okay, so my second pick is out, and we talked about my third pick. We talked about your second pick, so give us your third pick, and we'll be done with this first debacle here.
Well, there's a lot of horses in this race that have the ability to improve. My third choice, I went to the 3-horse Silent Way for Peter Yurton, Flavian Pratt taking over for Hector Barrios. I'm more apt to make this horse an HFR than I am the 6-horse. There's really no excuse last time out as the 3-2 favorite. It just kind of hung a little bit. The race before that, the same. So when it comes to the wire, but again, it's young. It made 2 starts at Santa Anita. That was the first off the stretch out, and the buyers are going in the right direction. It did work out at Keeneland. That was, vanned in from Keeneland to Churchill Downs here. Some pretty decent record for Flavian Pratt when he rides for Peter Urton. I did note that Hector Barrios is here today, or is supposed to be here today, but he goes to Pratt anyway. So I'm going to go with the 3 Silent Way as my third choice.
And just so I can have 3 horses in here, I did take a long look at the 2-horse Stakeholder in Wilkes training on that one. BJ Hernandez with the mount. 20-1 morning line on that one. Horse was last seen at Keeneland, the fall meet, or at the spring meet, just a couple weeks ago in a maiden 110 where it was second by 4 1/4 with Brian Hernandez aboard. That was first time blinkers for that horse. It was completely ignored at the window, went off at 28-1. Went a mile and 16th there, and the comments say willing. So Brian Hernandez retains the mount on this one. This horse has a ton of workouts over the Churchill Downs surface, and this horse is going to be making its 5th career start. All 4 starts, the Brisnet speed figure has improved. 62, 77, 80, and 82. And has never been touched at the window. Went off at 100-1, 42-1, almost 12-1, and then last time out, almost 28-1. But has a bunch of works over the Churchill Downs surface, is seemingly on the improve. BJ Hernandez takes the mount. And listen, this is a horse that's going to be closing. And I looked at my Brisnet speed figure does give me the track biases. Closing speed in this type of a race at Churchill so far, winning at a 35% clip. So there's a nice juicy 20-1 morning line on the 2 Stakeholder. I'll give you that one as my third horse in here.
Okay, cool.
So, all right. So I'm 11-9-2. You're 6-11-3.
Correct.
All right. Race 2.
Race 2, Churchill Downs. We have an allowance, non-winners of 1 other than. This is for 3-year-olds, and we're going a mile and a 16th on the main track.
My top selection here, I'm going to go to the 8, Taptastic. Steve Asmussen training on this one. Irad with the mount here again. 3-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen in March at Oaklawn Park, running in the Arkansas Derby. It was third out of 8 horses, 6 lengths back. Kind of ignored at the window, and that one went off at almost 12-1. It broke its maiden at first asking over a muddy Oaklawn Park surface at early March by 1.5 lengths, and was the betting favorite in that race. Went off at less than even money. Horse that got second in that race came back and broke its maiden. So After that performance, they got a little bit of Derby fever. Decided to throw it in the Arkansas Derby, going 1 1/8 miles. I think that's just a little bit too far for this horse. You know, it was when it hit the straight, it was 4th by 2, and then it finished 3rd by 6. So lost some ground there, past a tiring horse. So I like to dial back in distance on this one from 1 1/8 miles to 1 1/16 miles. This is also a second-time Lasix horse. I like to look at those second-time Lasix horses as well. So obviously dropping in class today into optional claiming non-winners of 1X. But you know, it was a decent effort last time out in the Arkansas Derby. Just a little bit too far and too much for this horse. But I did go to the 8, Taptastic. That is going to be my top selection in here.
My top selection, I'll go to the 4-horse Memory for Bob Baffert, SF and Starlight Racing. Flavien Prat's up for this one. Baffert's usually pretty serious when he ships these horses in, especially on Derby Day. And again, you'll probably be hearing this ad nauseum today, but another combo on the undercard. Want to show your horses off on the biggest stage. They spent $775,000 for this son of Uncle Mo, and ran a real nice race. Second lifetime out on the stretch out. Beyer improved 30 points in that race, albeit only against 6 other starters. Now shipping in here, does have a race, does have a workout over the Churchill Downs surface. Juan Hernandez being replaced by Flavien Prat for this one. And I think a real sweet morning line in this 4-horse Memory. That's going to be my top selection.
And the 4-horse Memory is my second selection in here. Stretching out from 1 mile to 1 1/16 miles. I mean, this horse is bred to run all day long. Medaglia d'Oro mare, and you said out of Uncle Mo. So I like to stretch out in the distance here. Another horse that has improved start 1 to start 2. Big jump in the Brisnet speed figure, 74 to 91. Going from B.J. Hernandez to Flavien Prat, and the square morning line 9 to 2. So yeah, the 4 Memory is going to be my second selection.
My second selection, I'll go to the 7-horse, Very Connected for Ken McPeak, Big Dream Racing, Magdalena Racing. Chris Elliott's in the irons for this one. It looks like Chris Elliott's going to move his tack to Kentucky. They already have a win. Chris Elliott and Ken McPeak. It was on Wednesday or Thursday, that combination. This horse broke its maiden back last year, September, as a 2-year-old in the slop at Churchill Downs. A pretty nice race there. And then from there, they decided to try the Grade 3 Street Sense, where it ran into Incredibolt. And then they tried the Kentucky Jockey Club, where it ran against one of today's favorites in the Kentucky Derby, Further Ado, and then Chip Honcho. And then decided to start off its 3-year-old campaign by shipping over to the Saudi Derby, which I'm not sure whose idea that was, but I mean, it wasn't embarrassed, I guess, beaten 12 lengths. That's pretty tough. That's a pretty tall order for your first start as a 3-year-old. Then back to Keeneland, where it ran a real nice race with Brian Hernandez aboard, and now getting Chris Elliott, who I think is going to kind of be McPeak's go-to guy. You're getting 12 to 1 morning line on a horse that knows the surface, has won over the surface, and has some pretty solid connections. So I'm going to go with the 7, Very Connected, as my second choice.
And my third selection here, I'm going to go to the 9-horse, Our Money Man. Brett Calhoun training on this one. Axel Concepcion with the mount. 6 to 1 morning line on this one. Horse was last seen, excuse me, 22nd of February at the fairgrounds, going 1 1/16 miles in a state-bred overnight stakes race where it won by 3/4 of a length with Axel Concepcion aboard. Went off at 80 cents on the dollar in that one. Everybody knew it was going to win that day. This horse has 6 career starts. Axel Concepcion has been aboard for all 6 of them. 3 wins, 3 seconds, but primarily against Louisiana breds. However, this horse did break its maiden in open company at Keeneland at the fall meet in a maiden 110, going 6 furlongs over a sloppy track by a nose with Axel Concepcion aboard. Went off at 6 to 1 in that race, 12 horses in that race. Since then has been running against state breds. Does have a start at this distance and does have a win at this distance. That was the last time out in that overnight stakes race. So I like the fact this horse, even though it's a Louisiana bred, has that win in the maiden at Keeneland against tough competition. You could debate whether 6 to 1 is ignored at the window or bet at the window. It depends on what it started out at, I guess. But nice open company win. Coming back into open company today. 6 to 1 morning line. on good connections here with Brett Calhoun and Axel Concepcion, who have 25 mounts in the last 60 days together and winning at a 28% clip. So the 9, Our Money Man, that's going to be my third selection in here.
And my third selection, I'm going to go to the 3-horse Steel for Bill Mott, L. Barrett, Bernard. This is a homebred. Junior Alvarado's up for this one. This horse broke its maiden at first asking back in February at Gulfstream Park. You don't see that a lot from a Bill Mott runner. This horse, very, very impressive. First time out, was ignored at the windows at 18-1. And from there, Mott decided to try the Wood Memorial. Again, when the horses win that impressively, everybody gets a little bit of Derby fever. It did face Albus in that race. Kind of wasn't the best Wood Memorial ever. But of course, it didn't get Lasix that time, because it was a stakes race. Getting its Lasix back today, making its second start from that Wood Memorial in non-winners of one other than where it probably should have belonged in the first place. And you're getting 20-1 on Mott and Alvarado on a big day undercard. So I'm going to go with the 3-horse Steel as my third choice.
Okay. All right. Anybody else you want to include in there?
I certainly don't have any knocks against your top selection, the 8, and I certainly wouldn't. I would take a long look at the $1.1 million 6-horse for Pletcher and Saez and Rapoli.
Yep. Okay. So I'm 8-4-9, and you're 4-7-3.
Correct.
All right. Race 3.
Race 3, Churchill Downs. We've got an optional claiming non-winners of 2 other than. This one is for 3-year-olds and upward, going a mile on the main track.
My top selection in here, I'm going to go to the 12-horse Prater. Chad Brown training on this one. Flavian Pratt with the mount. We call this a Chavian horse. 3-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Keeneland just a couple weeks ago, running at 7 furlongs at an optional claiming 80,000 non-winners of 2X. Third by 3 lengths in that one with Flavian Pratt aboard. Went off at less than even money in that race. Went off at 80 cents on the dollar. It says gave way going 7 furlongs, but the horse does have a start at a mile 2 races back in an optional claiming 62 at the fairgrounds, where it was second by 3/4 of a length with Mario Gutierrez up. Was heavily bet in that race. Ran into Grande on that day. Grande came back and won the very next race as well. But they tried this horse last year in the Lexington. So they tried to get it a little bit on the Derby trail. Was third last year at Keeneland in the Lexington by 5.5. That was also with Flavian Pratt aboard. That Lexington included Gosger, everybody's favorite horse. Included Gosger, but was heavily bet in that race. So only making 2 starts as a 4-year-old now. Was off from April, that Lexington, all the way to February this year. Came out, fired a nice Brisnet speed figure of 103, and then another 95 in that race at Keeneland. So now coming back third off the layoff and stretching out to a route. Chad Brown hitting a 25% clip, stretching back out to a route after, you call the 7 furlongs a sprint. Some might call it a route. But horse has 3 starts at this distance and 2 wins and a second. Square morning line 3-1 on the 12 Prater. That's going to be my top selection in here.
My top selection, I'm going to go to the 5-horse John Hancock for Brad Cox, China Horse Club. This is a WinStar homebred, the China Horse Club. Bought into, yes, another combo on the undercard. Like the way this horse started its career buyer-wise, 81, 84, 87, coming back to make his first start as a 4-year-old. Was bet down to the favorite in all 3 races. I don't think we're going to get anything close to 6-1 in here. 7-2, 9-2 would be nice. 2 races back when this horse won this SF Davis, beat a horse named Owen Almighty. Owen Almighty came back at Tampa Bay, won the Tampa Bay Derby last year. So it's been in against some pretty tough company. Finished off in the Louisiana Derby and hasn't been seen since last March. Working the horse out. They had this horse in Florida. They had it at Keeneland, but they chose the big stage today to make the 4-year-old debut. Nice morning line for Cox and Irad. I'm going to make the 5 John Hancock my top selection.
Herbie Hancock.
Herbie the Love Bug.
You don't know what reference I just made, do you?
Herbie Hancock?
Yeah. It's from Tommy Boy.
Oh, I never saw it.
You're gonna yeah, that was gonna be my next statement. You never saw Tommy Boy. I can't believe it. All right. My second selection in here, I went to the 6 Houday. Who dis, who day. Tom Drury training on this one. Brian Hernandez with the mount. 9-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Churchill. 28th of November, running in the Clark, which is a grade 2. 4th out of 8 horses in that one. Was fourth by, I can't read that. Was that 5 1/4 lengths? Is that what that is?
Yeah, 4th by 5 1/4.
4th by 5 1/4. Sometimes my glasses fail me. Completely ignored at the window in that one. Went off at almost 51-1. 2 races back at Mahoning Valley wins a $100,000 overnight stakes race because this is an Ohio bred. Here running at Churchill today. Got to represent, got to respect. But this is a 5-year-old. It's a multiple winner in here. It's got 8 career wins. You know, again, it's an Ohio bred, so a lot of those coming against Ohio breds. But it did run 2 years ago in the Pat Day Mile here at on the undercard for the Kentucky Derby. It was 4th in that one, 12 horses in that race by only 1.5. B.J. Hernandez was aboard for that run. He was also aboard for the Matt win here at Churchill in 2024, second by 2.5 in that one. So while this is an Ohio bred, it has been running in some pretty good company for an Ohio bred. And then there's that dominant allowance race at Belterra Park. An allowance 18-9 beaten. But I like the resume this horse comes in with. It's really been competitive in these graded stakes races against open company. And again, it's a 5-year-old with a multiple winner of 8 wins in here now with non-winners of 2x. I get a square morning line of 9-2 on this one. The 6, Who Day, Who Dis. That's going to be my second selection in here.
My second selection, I'll go to the 10-horse Vibe, a Mike Rapoli homebred. West Point Thoroughbred bought into this one, $3 million price tag. Pretty pricey individual, obviously. Only made 2 starts as a 3-year-old. The second start winning by 9 lengths at Gulfstream Park, and then off for a year until it came back in May at Gulfstream Park, going a mile and an optional 25 non-winners of 1 other than. I'm sure they had something else circled in the condition book. I'm surprised to see Pletcher just taking his time with this one, though, and going non-winners of 2 and not bumping it up into a stakes race. Luis Saez was up for that last mount. This horse does have a stalking speed profile. I think he fits it really well. Another one, 6-1 morning line. Be happy to take that. Don't think I'm going to get it, but the 10 Vibe is going to be my second choice.
Yeah, and the 10 Vibe is going to be my third selection in here. That race back now March of 2025 at Gulfstream Park in a maiden 94, 4th, and the 3 horses that finished ahead of him all, came back and won their next race. The winner of that race came back and won its next race, and then the other 2 came back and broke their maidens last time out. So, and it was the betting favorite in that race, went off at even money. So, then the trainer changed to Todd Pletcher, and
Pletcher was actually suspended at the time, and Anthony Shimano is his assistant. So it was still in the Pletcher barn, but Shimano was listed as a trainer of record while Pletcher was suspended.
At any rate, this horse headed in the right direction. 74 Brisnet to an 89 Brisnet to a 90 Brisnet. Again, those were, first race back after the almost 1-year layoff. That's a way to fire. Second off the layoff coming now. So the 10 Vibe, that's going to be my third selection.
And my third selection, I'll go to your top choice, the 12 Prater for Chad Brown, William Lawrence, Flavian Pratt's up for this one. This one, going a mile, he does have 3 starts at a mile with 2 wins and a second. The last couple of starts, 7 furlongs, maybe it was the layoff. Not sure what happened in that race at Keeneland. Maybe it didn't like the surface, because both of its Keeneland races, it backed up pretty well. That Gulfstream Park mile with Mario Gutierrez aboard, that was a much better effort against Grande Gosger before that. So this one's got to do some improving when it gets closer to the wire, going the right way instead of the wrong way. A little short on the morning line there. That's why I backed it down to my third choice, but certainly a horse with some ability. So I will make the 12 Prater my third choice.
All right. Now say something nice about the Ohio bred.
We like Ohio breds. We have one.
All right, so I'm 12, 6, 10. You're 5, 10, 12.
Correct.
All right, race 4.
Race 4, Churchill Downs. We have the Derby City Distaff for fillies and mares, 4 and up, going 7 furlongs on the main track.
My top selection in here, I went to the 5, Splendora. Bob Baffert training on this one. Flavian Pratt with the mount. 2-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Santa Anita, running in the Beholder there on March the 7th. It's a grade 1, winning by 5 3/4 lengths with J.J. Hernandez up, Juan Hernandez up, and went off at 10 cents on the dollar. I mean, you go off at 10 cents on the dollar in a grade 1, you got to be doing something right. This horse actually has 6 consecutive wins in a row. Won the D. Wayne Lucas, won the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Del Mar. Won an overnight stakes race at Del Mar, optional claiming 100,000 before that at Del Mar. So, again, just like you mentioned before, Bob Baffert doesn't ship in here on Derby Day unless he's serious. Of course, you got to be pretty serious if you're going to run in a grade 1 on Derby Day with him for $1 million purse. But I like that dominant race in the Beholder last year. Has no starts at Churchill, doesn't have any workouts over at Churchill. So if I'm going to poke holes in this one, that's going to be it. No starts at Churchill, no posted workouts over the surface. But Flavian Pratt hops off the 4 to hop onto this one. The 4 is actually the morning line favorite at 8-5. So I went to the 5, Splendora. That's going to be my top selection in here.
Yeah, I made that horse my top selection in here as well. Very short field with the defections. This horse, there's not a lot of speed in here. This horse is going to be the one to catch and run down with Flavian Pratt in the irons. Does have 2 wins at the distance, as you mentioned. No races over the Churchill Downs surface, but certainly 7 furlongs, like I said, has those 2 wins. I liked a little bit of a turn back from the Beholder Mile. And then the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. I mean, speed was just so tough there, and this one actually was able to come off the pace and run down the speed. So I think this one's tough in here. Don't think we're going to see 2-1. It's going to probably be maybe even money, somewhere between 4-5, 6-5. But I did go ahead and make the 5 Splendora my top choice.
My second selection here, I did go to the 4, Ways and Means. Chad Brown training on this one. Jose Ortiz with the mount. 8-5 morning line on this one. This is the morning line favorite. This horse was last seen June of 2025 at Saratoga in the Bed of Roses, where it won by 7 3/4 lengths with Flavian Pratt aboard, who I mentioned hops on the 5 here. Went off at 50 cents on the dollar in that one. Everybody knew it was going to win that day. And then last year, in this particular race, third by 2 3/4 with Flavian Pratt aboard. Was not the betting favorite in that race. Still went off at 2.5-1 though, so was heavily bet. That was a sloppy surface. That may have had something to do with it. And then last November 2024, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, 5th by 1 1/4 with Flavian Pratt aboard. So, concern coming back in 11 months, but it does have the highest last race speed rating of anybody in this field. It ran a 107 Brisnet in the Bed of Roses, and again, a dominant performance, winning by 7 3/4. That was, 11 months ago. But Chad Brown knows when to bring them back. He's not going to bring them right back into a grade 1 unless they're ready to run in a grade 1. He's the type of trainer that'll get somebody a tune-up race. Didn't feel like this one needed it. Throws it right in here today. No great shakes on the morning line at 8-5, but the 4 Ways and Means is my second selection in here.
My second selection, I'm going to go to the other Baffert, the 1 Usha. This is a horse making her first start off the layoff. Been off since December, where it won the Grade 1 La Brea. Big field there in the La Brea. 10-horse field coming from off the pace. If this race does fall apart a little bit, I wanted to see somebody who could maybe chase down the speed. This horse certainly fits that profile. He does. Juan Hernandez, listed on both of our top favorites, does opt to stay here, or his agent opts to keep him here on this horse, and she's certainly heading in the right direction. 7 out of 8, lifetime, broke her maiden by 11 at Del Mar, won the non-winners of 1 by 5, shipped over to Keeneland for the Raven Run in the fall. Didn't really care for that surface, but certainly made up for that in the Grade 1 La Brea. So a horse with a filly with Grade 1 experience, and pace should suit it a little bit. So I'm going to go with the 1 Usha as my second choice.
And my third selection here, I'm going to go to the 6, Our Disaster. Saffy Joseph training on this one. Tyler Gaffleone with the mount. 6-1 morning line on this one. This is the speed of the race today. There's only 6 horses in here. This is the speed of the race today. This horse was last seen at April the 4th, running in the Madison at Keeneland, where it was 3rd out of 8 horses by 6 lengths. Tyler Gaffleone was aboard for that one. Went off at almost 5-1. Got a little bit excited there. Went out in 21 and then backed it up to 44. So a little bit too much speed on the front there for this one. Tired out. And ended up 3rd out of 8 horses. 2 races back, though, in the Hurricane Birdie with Micah Husbands aboard. Hurricane Birdie at Gulfstream Park, going 6.5 furlongs, wins by 5.5 lengths, and was the betting favorite in that race. Went off at less than even money. So we'll see. Again, you never know with this front end speed. Front end speed is always dangerous, and Tyler Gaffleone could get out there on the engine and just kind of lull him to sleep. If he doesn't go out in 21 seconds, if he goes out in 22 seconds, or even 23 seconds, I like the shot on this one. The square morning line is 6-1 on the 6. Our Disaster. That's going to be my 3rd selection.
Yeah, I made that horse my 3rd selection as well. Could very well be the speed of the speed. Has something that our top 2 selections don't have, and that's a win over the Churchill Downs surface. Got a win in a 2nd out of 2 starts. Never been out of the money. 4 starts, a win, 2 seconds, and a 3rd. Going 7 furlongs. The Madison try was a little bit disappointing, but the Beyer speed figure ticked up. At least in my progression, it's a 95-96. I'm not sure what yours shows,
99,
but I think he's going to
98.
get out. I think he's going to get out. I also found it interesting that he decided to leave this one in here, and he ran Hall and Ice yesterday. So maybe a little bit easier spot for Hall and Ice. Maybe that's not too much to read into. But Our Disaster, the 6, that'll be my 3rd choice as well.
So I'm 5-4-6. You're 5-1-6.
Correct.
All right, race 5.
Race 5 at Churchill Downs. We've got the Twin Spires Turf Sprint. This is for 3-year-olds and upward, and we are starting an all-turf pick 4, going 5.5.
My top selection here, I did go to the 3, My Boy Prince. Mark Cassidy training on this one. Jose Ortiz with the mount. 5-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Keeneland and the spring meet, 1st of April, running in the Shakertown. I always call it the Shark. Well, that's what it looks like in my publication. It looks like the Shark Town, but I am starting to learn some of the names of these graded stakes races. That is the Shaker.
The
Town.
R isn't on the other side of the K in there?
It is. But,
Okay.
listen, I am trying to maintain an image here. I've got sunglasses on, and sometimes I don't see everything clearly.
It's
gotta
more
be the-
important than to look good than to handicap good. You know who said that?
You know who?
Just
you know
about
who
every
said-
schmuck at the racetrack,
Yeah.
especially on a day
Anyway.
like today.
Last seen in the Shakertown at Keeneland in the spring meet just a couple weeks ago. Won that one by 1 1/4 lengths. 12 horses in that field. It went off at a little bit more than 5-1, so kind of ignored at the window in that one. Dominant performance there with Jose Ortiz aboard. He retains the mount today. I like the 5.5 furlong record for this horse. It's got 5 starts. It's got 2 wins in a 2nd. The 2nd was in the Jaipur last summer, that weird Jaipur that they moved back to Sunday because they wanted to run it on the turf. Again, I 5.5 furlongs, you've talked about it before. Some horses like 5, some horses like 6, and some like 5.5. And some just don't like 5.5. So good success at 5.5 furlongs, and I really like that start last time out. That is the highest Brisnet speed figure of any horse in this race at a 95. No great shakes on the morning line on this one with Jose Ortiz retaining the mount, but I did go to the 3, My Boy Prince, as my top selection in here.
And my top selection, I'm going to go to the 7-horse Yellow Card for Michael McCarthy, James Daniil. Flavien Prat has the mount in here. He's going to try and flip the script on My Boy Prince. They both come out, exit the Shakertown. They ran 1-2 in that race. This horse had some trouble. The 7 Yellow Card had some trouble in that race in the Shakertown. Was pinched at the 9/16 up upper, went wide, and just missed to My Boy Prince. Certainly not something to be embarrassed about. Pratt retains the mount here for Michael McCarthy. Did most of his running in California, coming from just off the pace there, which is not always the easiest thing to do as well. But real tough, real competitive field. The 1-2 finishers here, My Boy Prince and Yellow Card, but I will make Yellow Card my top selection.
And the 7 Yellow Card is my third selection in here. For all the things that you just said, and I do like that it has a start over the Churchill Downs turf course and a win. And again, another horse at 6 starts at 5.5, 2 wins and 2 seconds, so 4 for 6 in the exacta at 5.5. My second selection in here, I went to the 9-horse Litigation. Brian Lynch training on this one. Irad with the mount. 3-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Keeneland in the Shakertown, running against your top pick and my top pick, where it was 4th by 1.5. With Mario Gutierrez aboard. Again, another that Shakertown, the fractions in that Shakertown were real fast. 21, 44. We'll see if they can duplicate that today. But 2 races back, this horse was running into a 20 and a 42 in the Silk Run at Gulfstream Park. Just a real ideal place for a closer to come in there. Won that one by 1 3/4. And then 2 races back at the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint, going 5 furlongs, wins by a neck with Mario Gutierrez aboard as well. Another instance where it was chasing down some pretty tough fractions, 20 and then 43. There's a chance that a horse can get out and get a little excited and start running those fractions again and set it up for Litigation to close coming off the pace. Square morning line going from Mario Gutierrez to Irad Ortiz in this one. The 9 Litigation, I'm going to make that my second selection.
And my second selection, I'll go to your top choice, the 3, My Boy Prince, exiting that win in the Shakertown. Coming off a lifetime top buyer in that race. Don't know how much that took out of him, but certainly got the right setup there. Any kind of speed in front of him should benefit. Does have that 1 win. His first 5.5 furlong win came in the Shakertown, but certainly nothing to be alarmed about, I suppose, with the 101 buyer, coming back. Sometimes these horses do bounce, coming back in less than a month's time, but it certainly seemed to be at the top of its game. 2026 5-year-old campaign's off to a real nice start. I'm not crazy about the 5-2 morning line when it was 5-1 in the Shakertown, but I'll make the 3 My Boy Prince my second choice.
And again, we talked about my third selection, which is the 7, so tell everybody how much you like the 9.
I do like the 9 as my third choice. He was favored in the aforementioned Shakertown. I will point something out here to everyone, and we're not going 4 deep today, but all the horses we like in this race, the 1, 2, 3 finishers from the Shakertown, are all horses that are dependent on coming off the pace. There's some lone speed in here, and that can often be very, very dangerous. So if you can find somebody like not maybe the 10-horse Joe Shiesty to get loose on the lead, could be interesting. In the Shakertown, he did get out in a 21 and a 44, but gets out in a little bit slower, a little bit softer fractions. Could be hard to run down, but I will make the 9 Litigation my third choice.
All right, so I'm 3-9-7, you're 7-3-9.
Correct.
All right, let's go race 6.
Race 6, Churchill Downs. We've got the Knicks Go Overnight Stakes for 4-year-olds and upward, going a mile on the main track.
My top selection in here, I'm going to the 4-horse BU. Todd Pletcher training on this one. John Velasquez with the mount. 7-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Aqueduct on the 4th of April, running in the Carter. 3rd by 1 3/4 in that one. Kind of ignored at the window, went off at 7, little less than 7-1. Only 5 horses in that race. But 2 races back at Aqueduct in February, winning the Toboggan. It's an overnight stakes race. That one dominant fashion by 1 3/4, going 7 furlongs. So last 2 races have been at 7 furlongs. We're going a mile today, which makes this a Pletch on a stretch. So this horse does have 2 starts at the mile and does have a win. and threw up the highest last race speed rating of anybody in this field at a 98 Brisnet. John Velasquez takes the mount, takes over for Kendrick Caramouche. He's got 2 starts on this horse. Was on at the fall Keeneland meet in an allowance 120 non-winners of 1X where it won by an entire length, and then also rode it in the Woody Stevens in June of 2024 at Saratoga. So he's got some experience with this horse, and nobody's been riding hotter than John Velasquez in the last week. He's got 9 starts, 4 wins, and a second. So again, Pletch on a stretch on this one. And John Velasquez taking over the mount, highest last race speed rating, square morning line 7-2, the 4 BU. That's my top selection.
I'm just noticing something here. I'm looking at my top selections, and a little disturbing. But anyway, top selection in here, I'm going to go to the 6-horse Tour Player for Whit Beckman and Graham Gray Stables. This is a horse for the course angle here. This horse has 5 starts at Churchill Downs, won 4 of them. I went ahead and drew a line through the Frederick Hooper 2 races back at Gulfstream Park, where it ran against Knightsbridge. And what I'm left with is Churchill Downs, non-winners of 1, first by 2, non-winners of 2, first by 3, non-winners of 3, one of the few places that still writes non-winners of 3, first by 1, and then shipping into Colonial for an overnight with Flavien Prat and winning that one. So back to a surface that it really, really likes. Has since that March 14th race, has a few workouts over the Churchill Downs surface. Just simply looks like the one to beat it. A pretty square morning line of 4-1 for a horse that's 4-5 at Churchill and 4 out of 6 at the distance. So the 6 Tour Player, that's my top choice.
Yeah, the 6 Tour Player is my third selection in here. For all the things you said, 4 for 6 of the distance, 4 for 5 at Churchill, and is tied for the highest last race speed rating with my top selection in here at a 98 Brisnet. So the 6 Tour Player is my third selection. My second selection in here, I went to the 2 Dragoon Guard. Brad Cox training on this one. IRAD with the mount, 3-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 14th of March at Colonial in an overnight stakes race where it was losing to Tour Player by 2 1/4 with John Velasquez aboard. Has been the betting favorite in the last 2 starts, has 2 second-place finishes in the last 2 starts. The other one was Churchill in November in an overnight stake. The Cherokee second by 1.5. That was with IRAD aboard and was the betting favorite in that race. So I'm looking at a situation here where the horse has been heavily favored the last 2 races, and now I'm getting a 3-1 morning line on the same horse. Brad Cox is making an equipment change on this one. He's taking the blinkers off to try and get the horse to relax a little bit. In the Cherokee, went out in 22 and 45, and ended up second by 1.5. Set it up real nice for a horse named, another horse in here named Midnight, right? Or what the hell is the name of that horse? The Moonlight. Named Moonlight. So I like the blinkers off angle on this one. IRAD taking over for John Velasquez, but IRAD and Brad Cox really hot together. 49 mounts in the last 60 days, winning at a 33% win percentage. Actually, I printed this on Tuesday, so there's a good chance all of these stats have changed. But another horse for the course, 5 starts at Churchill, 2 wins in 2 wins, 3 seconds, and 4 starts at the distance, a win and 3 seconds. 3-1 morning line on the 2 Dragoon Guard. I'm going to make that my second selection.
Yeah, I made that horse my second selection as well. Very, very close between my top 2 selections. As you pointed out, they ran 1-2 in that race at Colonial. Prior to that, going a mile in the Cherokee Mile at Churchill Downs. Coming out of the 11 hole, IRAD decided to try to clear from out there. Maybe he thought that was his only or his best chance is to try to clear. But I do like what you pointed out about the blinkers off. I think they are trying to get this horse to relax. And some of his best races are from coming from slightly off. The optional claiming $100,000 after the Pennsylvania Derby, and then the race after that at Indiana Grand. So could be a little bit of a slugfest between the top 2, but I will go with the 2 Dragoon Guard as my second choice.
And we know the 6 is my third selection in here, so tell everybody how much you like the 4, and then we'll give them the
No,
try.
4 I got to fade. Sorry. Third selection, I'm going to go to the 10-horse Capital Idea for Bill Mott, Paul Woolsey. This is a horse exiting the Ghost Sapper Stakes at 1 mile and a 16th down at Gulfstream Park, where it ran pretty well that day with no Lasix. So proven that it can run without Lasix, as prior to that, it had always had Lasix. Churchill Downs in the slop, an optional non-winners of 3. Again, Churchill, one of the few places that still runs N3X. That's where he cleared a maiden back in November as the 5-2 favorite there. So he likes the surface. Tampa Bay Downs going 7 furlongs in a tough race that day, and then made just the second start last time out at Gulfstream Park. So kind of well-traveled, but he's back to a surface where he has won on, and he does have 3 wins at the distance. I'm getting Mott and Alvarado at an okay price of 5-1. So I'm going to make the 10 Capital Idea my third choice.
I'm not leaving John Velasquez off the ticket for William Giorgio. All right, so I'm 4.
Wiser words were never spoken.
I'm 4-2-6. You're 6-2-10.
Correct.
All right, race 7.
Race 7 at Churchill Downs. We have the Longines Churchill Distaff Turf Mile. This is for fillies and mares, 4-year-old and up, and we're going a mile on the grass.
My top selection in here, I went to the 2, Sweet Rebecca. Brendan Walsh training on this one. Tyler Gaffleone with the mount. 5-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 28th of March at Gulfstream Park, running in the Sand Springs overnight stakes race there. Won that one by a neck. Was the betting favorite in that race. Went off at a little less than 2-1. 10 horses in that race. Nice dominant performance. I was with Tyler Gaffleone aboard. Then 2 races back at Gulfstream Park, going a mile and 16th, and an optional claiming non-winners at 3X, where it won by an entire length with Tyler Gaffleone aboard. That was the first 2 starts for Brendan Walsh. So 2 starts for Brendan Walsh, 2 wins. Took over the training duties from Chad Brown after this race up at Woodbine, the Nassau. Ownership must not have been real happy with that performance, 11th in that grade 2 out of 11 horses. So they moved it over to Brendan Walsh, and Brendan Walsh has thrown up the 2 highest speed ratings of this horse's career, with a 97 in that optional claiming, and then a 90 at the Sand Springs. Those are Brisnet speed figures. So seems to have this one headed in the right direction. Off to a great 2026, 2 for 2, 5 starts at the mile, 3 wins at a mile. No great shakes on the morning line at 5-2. But I did go to the 2, Sweet Rebecca, headed in the right direction. That's going to be my top selection in here.
My top selection, I'm going to go to the 4-horse Temptable for Bill Mott. This is Judd Mott. There's another combo on the undercard here, transferring into Bill Mott's barn. This horse was predominantly racing in Europe. It ran 1 race back in November at Del Mar in the Goldacova Stakes on the Breeders' Cup undercard. Does your publication show, I know it doesn't show on your phone, but in your publication, does it show track variants?
Not the overseas one, no.
Okay, well, the overseas rate, this horse is run on good soft, good soft. Actually beat the boys on a good soft race at Longchamp. And I just wanted to point out that in that Del Mar race last fall on the Breeders' Cup undercard, the track variant for the turf course was a 2. I mean, it was rock hard. It was like running in a freaking parking lot. And this filly was only beaten by 3 1/4 lengths. I don't think that this horse liked that surface at all. But it was November. You know, some of the other turf courses were probably already closed. And it was a really interesting spot for Bill Mott to bring this filly back into a grade 3. Now off the layoff, he's had some time to work with it. She's going to get a ground that's going to be much closer to something that she's going to prefer other than that rock-hard turf course that she caught at Del Mar. So I'm going to go with the 4-horse, Temptable, 8-1. That's my top selection.
My second selection here, I'm going to go to the 3, Portfolio Duration. Chad Brown training on this one. Flavian Pratt with them out. 4-1 morning line on this one. This is another combo on the undercard. Klarovich Stable owns. Got a Chavian horse here. Horse was last seen kicking the shit out of everybody at Tampa. 3 consecutive starts at Tampa. Last one was in March in an allowance, non-winners on 1X, where it won by 4 3/4, went off at 40 cents on the dollar in that one. Then the 2 races back, broke its maiden in December, going a mile and 16th. Won that one by 5 3/4, 20 cents on the dollar in that one. So 2 dominant performances there. Brings it in here today to run in this grade 2 out of that allowance race from Tampa. Square morning line of 4-1 on a good combo on the undercard. The 3 portfolio duration. I'm going to make that my second selection in here.
Yeah, my second selection, I'm going to go to the 8-horse, Pinup Betty, for Michael Maker, 3 Diamonds Farms. Juan Hernandez is in the irons for this one, replacing Joel Rosario. This is a horse that has 7 starts over the Churchill Downs turf course with 4 wins. While she hasn't won yet at a flat mile, she does have some pretty competitive races there. Another thing I found interesting about this horse is Maker had this one entered yesterday in the Grade 3 Modesty Handicap, but he chose to scratch out of the Grade 3 and run in a Grade 2 here. So showing some confidence in this mare. She's making her second start as a 5-year-old. The first was in the Grade 1 Jenny Riley. I didn't go back and watch the replay of that race, but suffice it to say, I don't think she got the better trip. And you know what? It's not always the jockey's fault either. Sometimes she just might have needed the race. But I really like the fact that Maker decides to scratch out of a Grade 3 into a Grade 2 with a horse that's got 4 wins over this course. So I'm going to make the 8, Pinup Betty, my second choice.
My third selection here, I'm going to go to the 5, Classic Q. Mark Casse training on this one. John Velasquez with the mount. 6-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Gulfstream Park 28th of February running in the Honey Fox, which is a Grade 3, where it was second by 3/4 of a length to Lush Lips. This horse is running the Lush Lips twice. It ran into Lush Lips at Gulfstream Park in February, ran into Lush Lips in the Mrs. Revere here at Churchill on the 28th of November. Third by 3/4 of a length in that one. So it's third to Lush Lips, and then another horse named Pretty Picture, who got second in that race, came back and won its very next race. So, 3/4 of a length of Lush Lips, twice it's faced that horse. This horse has been facing some really good competition and hasn't really ever been bet. Facing that good competition was almost 9-1 last time out, was almost 6-1 in the Mrs. Revere, and we're getting 6-1 on it today for the morning line with John Velasquez retaining the mount. So going a mile again today, this horse has 7 starts at a mile, 3 wins and 2 seconds, and does have a win over the Churchill Downs surface. That would be back at the last year in April. It won an allowance 127 non-winners of 1X by 4 3/4 lengths. So it seems to like the surface. Has been facing some really tough competition, losing to Lush Lips twice, only by 3/4 of a length. So nice morning line on this one of 6-1, the 5 Classic Q. I'm going to make that my third selection.
And my third selection, I'll go to your second choice, the 3 portfolio duration for Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables. This is a private purchase for Klarovich Stables. Certainly another combo on the undercard. Chad Brown, when he runs his horses at Tampa, especially on the turf course, he's there. He means business when he's there, and this one has not disappointed. Went off at 2-5. Prior to that, went off at 1-5, winning by open lengths in both of those, and going from the non-winners of 1 other than into the Grade 2. Chad Brown figures this is the spot, and he just might be right. So I'm going to go with the 3-horse portfolio duration, my third choice.
All right, so I'm 2, 3, 5. You're 4, 8, 3.
Correct.
All right, race 8.
Race 8, Churchill Downs. We've got the Pat Day Mile. This is for 3-year-olds going a mile on the main track.
My top selection here, I went to the 1, Englishman. Cherie DeVoe training on this one. Jose Ortiz with the mount. 3-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at the fairgrounds 19th of March. Going 6 furlongs and an optional claiming 125. We're won by 7.5. That was with Jose Ortiz aboard. Was the betting favorite in that race, 10 cents on the dollar. Everybody knew it was going to win that day. And then 2 races back, broke its maiden right here at Churchill Downs. in a maiden 120, going 7 furlongs. Won that one by 7 1/4 with Jose Ortiz aboard. Went off at a little more than 2-1 in that one. Was not the betting favorite. Horse that finished second in that race, White Tiger, came back and broke its maiden the very next race. So 2 dominant performances here in a row. One of them at Churchill Downs. Cherie DeVoe stretching this one out to a mile. Stats on her: first race at a route, wins at a 24% clip. And a stat that I have here that you don't, the rail post is winning at a 19% clip in this race. So undefeated in 2 career starts. Excuse me, 2 dominant performances. Jose Ortiz was aboard for both of them. 3-1 morning line on the 1 Englishman. That's going to be my top selection. Damn it.
You going to make it?
Almost got all the way to the end there. The 1 Englishman is my top selection in here.
Yeah, I made the 1-horse Englishman my top selection as well. It was really hard to split up my top 2 choices in this race. And the reason is I gave this one the nod over my second selection is it does have that win over the Churchill Downs surface in its first lifetime start, winning at 7 furlongs. Tough distance to win first time out. She does back it down to 6 furlongs on the comeback trail back in March, setting it up for the stretch out here. But a couple of nice 90 buyers, 97, 95. The horse has absolutely done nothing wrong. So I will go with the 1 Englishman as my top selection as well.
My second selection here, I'm going to go to the 6 Crude Velocity. Bob Baffert training on this one. Florent Giroux with the mount. 5-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 4th of April at Santa Anita, going 6.5 furlongs there, and an optional claiming 50. Non-winners of 1X. Blew the field away, won by 6 3/4 lengths. 6 horses in that field. Florent Giroux was aboard for that one. He was also aboard when the horse broke its maiden the 7th of March at Santa Anita in a maiden 70. Was completely ignored at the window that day. Went off at almost a little more, 10.5 to 1. Ran with blinkers that day. Baffert takes the blinkers off last time out and gets the result he wants, blowing the field away. Stretching out to a route today. Everybody knows Bob Baffert knows when to stretch out to a route. Should have no problem handling the stretch out on this one. It's a lemon drop kid mare. Highest last race speed rating of 103 Brisnet on this one as well. So another horse coming off of a dominant performance in an optional claiming race, retaining the jockey. No great shakes on the morning line of 5-2, but the 6 Crude Velocity, that's going to be my second selection in here.
Yeah, and I made that horse my second selection as well.
Oh boy.
A couple of things in here is this horse is a second selection because both of our top selection does have the win over the track. This horse has something that horse doesn't have, is it did defeat older horses last time out. So it's now backing down to just 3-year-olds, and that 100 buyer speed figure sure jumps off the page. Went off at 1-2. Not sure why they didn't like it first time out for Baffert, but people that believe were rewarded with over a 10-1 odds. So I will also go with the 6 Crude Velocity as my second choice.
In my third selection in here, I went to the 2 Trouble Calling. Greg Foley training on this one. Luis Saez with the mount. 5-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 3rd of April at Keeneland, running in the Lafayette, going 7 furlongs on a sloppy surface there, where it won by a head with Luis Saez aboard. Took some decent money in that one, a little less than 5-1. Luis Saez has had the mount the last 3 times on this horse. This horse broke its maiden at the fairgrounds 2 races back, 14th of February, by 6 1/4. Was the betting favorite in that race, went off at 1.5 to 1. So 2 consecutive nice starts, and really the third start back January for the 17th, and another maiden with Luis Saez aboard. Was second by 1 1/4 in that one, but big speed figure jumps for this horse to start the 3-year-old campaign. It ended the 2-year-old campaign at Churchill in a maiden 120, where it was 9 out of 12, 68 Brisnet speed figure in that one. Comes back in January, 94, and then a 93, and then a 95 Brisnet speed figure. So first 3 starts of the 3-year-old campaign definitely headed in the right direction for this one. Does have 2 starts at Churchill. Has a 3rd place finish at Churchill here as well. But I like the direction this horse seems to be headed to start the 3-year-old campaign, all with Luis Saez aboard in a nice morning line of 5-1. So the 2 Trouble Calling, I'm going to make that my third selection.
Yeah, I had a real tough time splitting my third and fourth selection since we're only going 3 deep in here. I will go with the 8-horse Creole Chrome for Joe Sharp and Three Diamonds Farm. Irad Ortiz is up for this one. Joe Sharp and Irad Ortiz have been on a tear. This meet just started a week ago. I think they've already got 4 or 5 wins together in that short period of time. This horse is a Louisiana bred, running primarily against other Louisiana breds up until they decided to try the Bluegrass Stakes last time out. Beat 3 of the horses home. Didn't get Lasix that day, so not sure if that proves he can run without the Lasix or not, but made a decent accounting of himself going a mile and an eighth. Now turning back to a mile, probably a distance that suits this one much better. And like I said, Irad and Sharp have been on fire together. So I will make the 8 Creole Chrome my third selection.
Now say something nice about the 7-horse.
The 7? Well, yeah, Crown the Buckeye. Nicest thing about it is we don't have to run against it.
Yeah, it's too bad because, if Rocco doesn't take our horse out in 21 seconds in the Hoover on the 18th of July, if Rocco doesn't take our horse out in 21 seconds and we switch our lead on the backstretch, that right there, it might say, instead of whatever that says for third place, I might say ultimate destination right there.
This horse is a very interesting race. Like I said, I had a hard time splitting my third and fourth choices, and Crown the Buckeye is not without a chance here. Michael Maker getting Flavien Prat interested in here, coming out of the LeCompte and then the Gotham. That was a nice ride in the Gotham, where he had a little bit of trouble, hit the start, taking over for Ricardo Santana. So, I'll be rooting for him, but not sure I'll be actually backing him with any cash.
Go Ohio. All right, 162 for me, 168 for you.
Correct.
All right, race 9.
Race 9, Churchill Downs. We've got the $1 million American Turf for 3-year-olds, and we're going 1 mile and a 16th on the grass.
My top selection here, I'm going to go to the 12-horse, Remembering Mamba. Cherie DeVoe training on this one. Jose Ortiz with the mount. 9-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Keeneland, 3rd of April, running the Transylvania, where it won by a half a length with Jose Ortiz aboard. Was the betting favorite in that one. Went off at a little more than 2-1. This horse has been the betting favorite every time it's taken the track. It broke its maiden at Keeneland, a maiden 110. Won that one by 4.5. Went off at less than 2-1, and then right back into an optional claiming in January of this year. Optional claiming 125 at the fairgrounds, where it wins by 3 1/4 lengths. Went off at 60 cents on the dollar in that one, and then in the Transylvania last time out. So horse has 3 starts, 3 wins. Now going into a Grade 1. Last time out in the Transylvania was running on good turf. Didn't seem to bother the horse at all. And Jose Ortiz is another jockey that's been hot in the last week. Again, I printed these sheets on Tuesday, but I showed him with 29 starts and 10 wins in those 29 starts when I printed these things out on Tuesday. I'm sure that has changed over the last 3 days here. But
what's
undefeated
the
in 3. It is last 7 days, and again, that would have been Tuesday. 29 starts for Jose Ortiz and 10 wins.
Yeah, I think 5 of them. That could be, because they did start early this year.
Yep. So, square morning line 9-2 on the 12. Remembering Mamba. I'm going to make that my top selection in here.
My top selection, I'm going to go to the 4-horse Stark Contrast for Michael McCarthy. Ammerman homebred here. Flavien Prat's in the irons. This is a horse that went to the turf in its second lifetime start at Del Mar, something I like to look for. Did not disappoint there. Broke its maiden in that race, going at Del Mar, and then went into the Zuma Beach, a Grade 3, where it also won. So it cleared its non-winner for one other than in a Grade 3, and from there they decided to try the Breeders' Cup Turf Grade 1, where it almost shocked the world at 58-1. Just got beat there by Gestad, and then to start the 3-year-old campaign a little overnight in the Eddie Logan, where it wins easily going away there. Only 5 horses in that race, I get it. And then for some reason they decide to try the the Jeff Ruby Stakes on the synthetics. Not sure what their thinking was there, but now back on its preferred surface with Flavien Prat aboard taking over for Kimura. Michael Maker does have okay stats when he goes from synthetic to turf, but that one still was a little bit of a head-scratcher for me. I don't think that they had Derby aspirations for this horse by any means. It did get points. It did run second in that race. I just think that this horse is just really fit right now. So the 4 Stark Contrast, that's going to be my top selection.
Yeah, the 4 Stark Contrast is going to be my third selection in here. Last time out in the Jeff Ruby, Bob the Bit. So not an ideal start there, and still got up for second by 2.5 in that one. It's a nice effort there, going on the all-weather and now returning back to the turf. I love betting horses that are coming off of that all-weather surface. My second selection in here, I went to the 10-horse, Vasi. Brendan Walsh training on this one. John Velasquez with the mount. 10-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 3rd of April at Keeneland, running in the Transylvania, where it was third by 3/4 of a length to my top selection, Remembering Mamba. Flavien Prat hops off of this one, goes to ride on the 4, your top selection. Lose nothing going to John Velasquez here, and I just really like the way he's been riding. The last, we saw him down at Keeneland. He was riding with more confidence than anybody, and has not stopped, with the start here to the Churchill meet either. 2 races back, 28th of February, this horse won the Colonel Liam at Gulfstream by a neck, and then broke its maiden in January by a neck with Tyler Gaffleone aboard. So I like that effort last time out in the Transylvania. I just really like the way that John Velasquez has been riding this recently. And I like the morning line of 10-1 on the 10, Vasi. I'm going to make that my second selection in here.
And my second selection, I'll go to the horse right above it, the 9, Honey Dutch, for Whit Beckman, Legion Racing, 10 Strike. Tyler Gaffleone's up for this one. There's the same combination. They also exited the Transylvania Stakes. This one was beaten by your top choice, the 12, Remembering Mamba. Little bit of a switch of the scenario, though, here. When they ran in the Transylvania, Honey Dutch came out of the 10-post position. Remembering Mamba had the 7. Now they switch a little inside-outside here, where the Honey Dutch gets to move in a little bit to the 9. And Remembering Mamba's got to go and start out of the 12 hole. So maybe a little bit of an advantage there. 13-1 last time. They're going to give me 12-1 again this time, and I'm going to take that all day long for pretty top connections in here. So the 9, Honey Dutch, 12-1. That's going to be my second.
And again, my third selection is the 4, Stark Contrast.
Okay.
Which you've already talked about, and I backed it up. So go to your third selection.
Third selection, I'll go to the 7-horse Alpe Land for Mark Cassie and DJ Stable. This is a horse that's exiting a nice win in the Columbia overnight at Tampa. Prior to that, has 3 straight nice races at Gulfstream Park. Has never been in graded company before, but Mark Cassie seems that not only just passing up a grade 2 or grade 3 opportunity, he's going to go right into a grade 1 here. Him and JJ Castellano have been another really tough combination, and we'll see if this one can graduate into the grade 1. But I'm getting 8-1 to find out. So I'm going to make the 7 Alpe Land my third choice.
All right, so I'm 12-10-4. You're 4-9-7.
Correct.
All right, race 10.
Race 10, Churchill Downs. We've got the Churchill Downs Stakes. This is another $1 million purse. This is for 4-year-olds and upward, going 7 furlongs on the main track.
My top selection in here, I went to the 6, Knightsbridge. Bill Mott training on this one. Junior Alvarado with the mount. Godolphin owning. 9-5 morning line on this one. Sorry. Another combo on the undercard here. Horse was last seen 28th of February, running in the Gulfstream Park Mile, which is a grade 3. Won that one by 11 lengths. Went off at 20 cents on the dollar. This horse has 5 consecutive wins in a row. 4 consecutive wins in a row, 3 consecutive graded stakes wins in a row. Won the Mr. Prospector by 4 3/4. Won the Hooper by 4 3/4, and then won the Gulfstream Park Mile by 11 lengths. Those are all Grade 3, taking the step up into Grade 1 today. We talk about how hard it is for a horse to win, 3 races in a row, let alone win 5 in a row at the graded stakes level. But you can't argue with what this horse has done. It's a 5-year-old with 8 career starts, 6 wins, a second and a third, 4 wins at the distance, or 4 starts at the distance, 3 wins, and a start over the Churchill Downs surface and a win. I couldn't figure out a way to get away from it. Sometimes the best horse is just the best horse. I went to the 6, Knight's Bridge. That's my top selection in here.
Yeah, I made that horse my top selection in here as well. I really didn't have an appetite for trying to beat this horse going 7. Certainly like 7 furlongs with 3 wins out of 4 starts. I do like a little bit of a turn back for his first try in Grade 1, going from a mile. Those races really should have put him in good shape for this one. Off since February 28th, where he just crushed the field at 1-5 at Gulfstream Park, and should be all set for a top effort here today, making his first try in Grade 1 competition, skipping over Grade 2 right to Grade 1, but I think Bill Knott knows what he's doing. So the 6, Knightbridge, also my top choice.
My second selection here, I went to the 10, Cornucopian, another Bob Baffert shipper with, the 2.
Okay.
Let me start over. I went to the 2 horse, Cornucopian, another Bob Baffert shipper. Juan Hernandez with the mount on this one as well. 7-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 29th of March at Santa Anita, running the San Carlos, which is a Grade 3. Won that one by 2 3/4 lengths. Went 7 furlongs in that one, so it does have a start and a win at 7 furlongs. Threw up the highest last race speed rating of anybody in this field of a 107 in that race. This horse did try the Arkansas Derby at Oak Lawn in the 29th of March, was 4th out of 9 horses, was the betting favorite in that race. That was 2025. So, got on the Derby trail a little bit in 2025, ran into the Sandman in that one, kind of dashed its Derby hopes at that point. Then was at Aqueduct for an optional claiming 100, and then was off from April of 2025 to January 2026, where Baffert brings it back, and then optional claiming 50, and it just crushes the field first time out, but win by 3 lengths, and then second off the layoff comes out and runs in the San Carlos, crushes the field there. Both of those last 2 starts were on the rail, so we're getting a little bit of post relief. We're going from the 1 hole last time out to now the 2 hole. But I get a square morning line of a horse that is going to be going 3rd off the layoff and really, really fired nicely to start the 4-year-old campaign with Juan Hernandez aboard. So the 2, Cornucopian, I'm going to make that my second selection in here.
My second selection, I'm going to go to a real nice price horse, and that's the 4, Hall of Fame for Steve Asmussen, Claiborne Farm. $1.4 million purchase for Claiborne Farm. Jose Ortiz is up for this. This is a horse with a graded stakes resume, not really Grade 1, but it did win the Grade 3 Mine Shaft, was 2nd in the New Orleans, was 3rd in the Ali Sheba, was 2 lengths off in the Blame, did break its maiden at Churchill Downs in a non-winners of one other than. Back in July, they shipped this horse off to Del Mar to try the San Diego Handicap, where it ran into Nisos. We all know Nisos came back and won the Breeders' Cup Mile, so tough competition over there on a surface that it had never tried before. Now Asmussen's giving it plenty of time off to bring it back on the biggest stage possible. In the Grade 1 $1 million race, Jose Ortiz is up for this one. Jose Ortiz in this young meet, 6 starts with 3 wins. He's riding as good as anyone. And, again, combo on the undercard. Asmussen, Claiborne Farms. 20-1 morning line in the 4, Hall of Fame. That's my second choice.
And my third selection here, I'm going to go to the 5, Disruptor. Todd Pletcher training on this one. Irad with the mount. 8-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 7th of March at Tampa, winning the Challenger, which is a Grade 3. Won that one by an entire length with Irad aboard. Went off at a little less than 3-1 in that race. Was not the betting favorite. 2 races back. Won an optional claiming 16 by 3.5 lengths at Tampa. Went off at less than even money in that one. That was the horse's first start since the Florida Derby in 2025, trying to get into the Kentucky Derby. It went off at a little more than 3-1 in that race. Who else was in that race? Tappan Street, who won. Sovereignty, who was second. And Neoquist, which finished third. So a tough field there, kind of dashed the Derby hopes. Pletcher lays it off all the way until January of this year, brings it back in that optional claiming race as the tune-up for the Challenger. Doesn't disappoint in the Challenger, where it wins by an entire length. And now we're going here into the Churchill Downs Stakes. Another combo on the undercard, Rapoli, Pletcher, Irad. Nice 8-1 morning line on a horse coming third off the layoff here, and really fired nicely that first off the layoff, and then the 103 Brisnet it ran in the Challenger. So the 5, Disruptor, I'm going to make that my third selection.
And my third selection, I'm going to go to another theory that we talk about a lot on this podcast, and that is the higher price of an uncoupled entry. And that's the 7-horse Imagination for Bob Baffert, SF Racing and Starlight Racing and Madacat. Flavien Prat's up for this one. This is a horse that does have Grade 1. Does have a Grade 1 resume. Ran in the Grade 1 Preakness. The Woody Stevens is a Grade 1. It Grade 1 Malibu, and then the Breeders' Cup Sprint's also a Grade 1 where it ran second. Last time they decided to ship this one out to the Riyadh Dirt Sprint where it also won. Flavien Prat went out there for that $20 million race, and I guess it was a good idea that they went. A $2 million race. So only 2 wins in 2 years is kind of the knock on this horse. Back in 2025, very lightly raced, and then 2026 just has that one race. Normally, I don't like to play a horse coming back from one of those Arab races, but I think the 2 months off might be enough for this one. Lightly raced 5-year-old, higher price of the uncoupled entry, the 7 Imagination. That is my third choice.
All right, so I'm 6-2-5. You are 6-4-7.
Correct.
All right, race 11.
All right, so 11, we have the Churchill Downs, the Turf Classic, the Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic. $1.5 million for 4-year-olds and up, and we're going 1 mile and an eighth on the turf.
Old Forester. Frickin' thirsty. My top selection in here, I'm going to go to the 6, Rhetorical. William Walden training on this one. Irad Ortiz with the mount. 5-2 morning line on this one. Horse was last seen 10th of April at Keeneland, going 1 mile over the turf course there in the Maker's Mark mile, Grade 1. Third by 1 1/4 with Irad aboard. Went off at 2.5 to 1 in that one. Was not the betting favorite. Zulu Kingdom ended up winning that race. This one says fractious at the gate, so not an ideal start to that one, especially in a Grade 1. 2 races back, the Breeders' Cup Mile at Del Mar. 4th out of 13 horses in that race, 2 lengths back. Was not the betting favorite in that one either. But did win the Turf Mile at Keeneland at the fall meet with Irad aboard by 3/4 of a length. Was ignored on that day, went off at almost 10 to 1. Irad has had the mount 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in this horse's 8 starts. Horse has 8 starts and 5 wins. Does have a couple of state-bred wins as a New York bred, but that was a really impressive win in the Turf Mile at Keeneland. Then went out in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and again, not an ideal start in the Maker's Mark where it was fractious at the gate, but no great shakes on the morning line, but another combo on the undercard, William Walden with Gary Barber and Irad aboard. So the 6, Rhetorical, going to make that my top selection in here.
Well, this race is going to be an important race for me because there is a 2-day wager, the Kentucky Oaks into the Turf Classic, into the Kentucky Derby, and I started it off with the Chad Brown runner in the Oaks yesterday. So I do have your 6 horse, who didn't make my top 3, but I do have it on my ticket. So I'll be hoping you're right there. A horse that's really going to come down for me to be an important play is going to be the 3 horse, Asbury Park. That's my top selection. This is a St. Elias homebred that Peter Brandt bought into. Chad Brown known for going out and having private purchases for Peter Brandt. St. Elias stayed in on this one. And a horse that started out at Saratoga, breaking its maiden in its second start over the Saratoga turf course, going long. Then non-winners of One Other Than, failed at Saratoga, and then September of last year they tried the Saranac, where it was beaten by a length and a quarter, and then finished out in the Jockey Club Derby Grade 2, where it won by 2 lengths, kind of going away. So it seems like it took this horse a little bit of time to sort of get into its stride, and Chad Brown wasting no time getting it into this Grade 1 race here. Flavien Prat better have a big day, because when I'm handicapping, I sort of have tunnel vision. It's just that race, and I concentrate on that race, and then I move on. In the first 11 races, I think I've got him picked on top 6 times. So if Flavien doesn't have a big day, it might be bad news for me. This I'm tied into this 3-horse Asbury Park very heavily in my 2-day wager, and I'm making that my top selection.
My second selection here, I'm going to go to the 4-horse Program Trading. Chad Brown training on this one. Tyler Gaffleone with the mount. 4-1 morning line on this one. This is the lower price of the uncoupled entry for Chad Brown. Horse was last seen 21st of March at the fairgrounds. Running in a Grade 2 there, third by 2 lengths. Flavien Prat has had the mount on this one the last 10 starts. He goes to your top selection, the 3 Asbury Park. That's the higher price, the uncoupled entry. You know, this horse didn't have a win in 2025, only had 3 starts, and is not off to a good start in 2026. You know, was in the Pegasus World Cup Turf, was 5th by 1.5 in that one. Was the betting favorite in that race. Went off at almost even money. Obviously didn't come home that day. Then was the betting favorite, not the betting favorite in that last Grade 2 at Fairgrounds. Still went off at 1.5 to 1. Chad Brown is making an equipment change on this one, and this horse is going to run with the blinkers on, which it hasn't done in the last 10 starts. And I don't know if it's ever run with blinkers on, but it has not run with blinkers on in the last 10 starts. So I took a look at that and decided that obviously looking for an improvement with the blinkers on, but that's a pretty bold move to throw the blinkers on in a Grade 1. So I like the equipment change there. I didn't know what to make of Flavien Prat, again, jumping off of this one and going to the higher price, the uncoupled entry. But I really like that equipment change on this one. Chad Brown had finally had enough and had seen enough and has decided to make an equipment change. So square morning line of 4-1 on the 4, Program Trading, another combo on the undercard, Chad Brown, Klarovich. I don't know, would you call it a combo on the undercard if Gaffleone is aboard and not Chavian?
Well, it's the trainer owner, really. So yes, I would call that a combo on the under. The jockey doesn't really matter quite as much on the combo on the undercard. It's the owners that the trainer want to show off for.
Got it. The 4, Program Trading, my second selection.
My second selection, I'm going to go all the way to the outside to 10. Make Me King. I'll say this for you: a French bred.
Frickin' starving.
This is one that I wish I had on my 2-day bet. This is one that I'm afraid could upset the apple cart here. Not familiar with this trainer shipping in from Dubai, HL Jahani, but it is Waltham Racing, and they are a serious racing outfit. The Dubai Turf Try, Grade 1, it exited a Grade 1. That was his first try in a Grade 1 stakes, but it attracts Jose Ortiz here. He's been riding just as well as anyone. Depending on what you make of the time form ratings, whatever formula you use, -13, -10, that last race at Maidan puts this horse at an even 100 Beyer speed figure, up from a 90, up from a 97. Has not won at 1 1/8. That last try, Grade 1, was its first start in 1 1/8. So I really think that they've got high hopes for this. I don't know if this was a private purchase or not for Waltham Racing, but they're sure choosing an interesting spot to start this one off in North America. And like I say, I wish I had this on my multi-race, but I don't. The 10, Make Me King, that's my second choice.
Do you have the 1 on your multi-race?
I do. My third choice.
Ooh,
yes, I do.
That is my third selection in here as well. I went to the 1-horse, Corruption. Mark Cassie training on this one. John Velasquez with the mount. 15-1 morning line on this one. Horse was last seen 28th of March at Gulfstream, going 1.5 miles. turf course there in the Pan American. Second by a neck with John Velasquez up. Took quite a bit of money in that one. Went off at a little more than 2-1. Took quite a bit of money considering Farbridge was also in that field. Ended up winning. So had the lead going down the straight by 1.5 and just ended up caught. So that was at 1.5 miles. We're backing back down to 1 1/8 today. I think the horse is going to like the drawback in distance. And this horse does have the highest last race speed rating of anybody in this field at a 105 Brisnet. Has 3 starts at 1.8 miles and a win. Has 2 starts at Churchill Downs and a win at Churchill Downs. But was in a dominant 2025. 9 starts and 5 wins for this one. And now we're getting a 15-1 morning line on a horse that was just bet all the way down to almost 2-1 in the Pan American and lost by a neck to Farbridge. Probably should have won the race. The 1, Corruption, that's going to be my third selection in here.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, that is my third selection in here as well. Everything you pointed out, I like to turn back from 1.5 miles to 1.8 miles. He tried to take them all the way there in the Pan American, going 1.5 miles, and then same thing with the Turf Cup at Kentucky Downs back in September, going 1.5 miles. That was out of the 10 hole. That was with Jose Ortiz aboard. I like the fact that Cassie sticks with Johnny V here. Does have 1 win over the Churchill Downs turf course. That was in a non-winners of 2 other than, and again, showing some speed. Sometimes these turf races, speed can be very dangerous. Johnny's got the inside. He's also smart enough to know that if somebody really wants to get out there and go, he's not going to just battle with them. He can do his Johnny V thing and lay right off, but there is not a ton of speed in here. Not sure what a couple of the California horses may or may not want to do, but Johnny should be able to pick and choose with your second choice program trading, putting the blinkers on. Maybe they're going to show some more speed with that one. But the 1 horse Corruption, that's my third choice as well.
All right, so I'm 6-4-1, you're 3-10-1.
Correct.
All right. Let's go, race 12. Is this a big one?
Okay. Well, to me, it's race 12, but to most people, it's the Kentucky Derby, the $5 million Grade 1 Kentucky Derby for 3-year-olds who are going 1.25 miles for the first time in their young lives.
My top selection in here, I went to the 6, Commandment. Brad Cox training on this one. Luis Saez with the mount. 6-1 morning line on this one. This horse is the winner of the Florida Derby. Won it by a nose, beat the Puma in that one, beat Chief Wallaby in that one. Was 4th by 2 on the straight and just ran him down, ended up winning by a nose. Just a gutty performance there. The comments in here say determinedly. Also won the Fountain of Youth by a neck, was 3rd by a neck on the straight, ended up winning that one by a neck, was the betting favorite, beat Chief Wallaby again in that race. So I like those last 2 performances. The Fountain of Youth, went 1 mile and 16, stretched out to 1.8 miles in the Florida Derby, runs down the Puma in that one to win by a nose, and again stretch out to 1.25 miles here. I think should be able to handle the distance. You might disagree with me on that, but I think should be able to handle the distance on this one. Luis Saez with the mount, and a nice morning line of 6-1 for a horse that won the Florida Derby, which is always a key race to look for your Kentucky Derby winner. So 6-1, the Commandment. That's going to be my top selection in here.
Boy, I struggled with this year's Derby. Last year I was pretty much on journalism. I was on sovereignty. I was on the bandwagon. played them in both the Florida preps and backed them pretty well in the Derby. This year, and look, it all depends on how much you believe in these. I'm not going to say jinxes, but knocks against horses if they haven't done certain things or whatever. But I found my top 5 in here so very, very hard to split. So what I'm going to do for price purposes is I'm going to make my top selection the 14 Potente.
Yeah.
I know you're rooting for that one.
Yeah. Yep. I have a 99-1 $100 bet on Potente that I got in the future.
Yeah, so you'll be. I hope you're posting that. I hope you're posting that. I'm going to be rooting for you. Like I say, The knock against Potente is, I mean, he's definitely well-bred. Intimicious already got 3 Derby winners, yada, yada, yada. He can run all day. Look at the Churchill Downs. Now, that Churchill Downs workout, 57-4, I'm not exactly sure that Baffert likes that. That's what you run a race in. But, I mean, I think this horse is sitting on a big race. He didn't run as a 2-year-old. There's only been a handful of horses that have won the Kentucky Derby without running as a 2-year-old. So that's the knock on him. He does enter another horse in this race. I don't think this horse is going to go to the lead. I don't know why he went to the lead in the Santa Anita Derby. The Santa Anita Derby, besides the Florida Derby, is the other big-time prep. The last 5 Kentucky Derby winners did not win their last out, so there's some positives here too. The knock is it never ran as a 2-year-old. So I will go with the 14, Potente, as my top choice.
My second selection here, I'm going to go to the 12, Chief Wallaby. Bill Mott training on this one. Junior Alvarado with the mount. 8-1 morning line on Chief Wallaby. As I mentioned before, third in the Florida Derby by a half a length to Commandment. Second in the Fountain of Youth by a neck to Commandment. Broke its maiden at first asking by 1.5 lengths. Beats the Puma at first asking. This horse is bred to go the distance without a doubt. Constitution out of Medaglio d'Oro, and Bill Mott is making an equipment change. After running second to Commandment and third to Commandment, has decided he's going to put the blinkers on, try and coax a little more speed out of this one. I like the breeding on this one to be able to handle the 1.25 mile distance, and I like the equipment change, and I love the 8-1 morning line. So the 12, Chief Wallaby, I'm going to make that my second selection in here.
My second selection, I'm going to go to the 18 horse, Further Ado. I really struggled with making this. Like I said, I had a hard time splitting my top 5. Some of them won't make the cut because we're only talking about 3 unless we're going to go 4 deep in here. But
we can talk about as many as you want.
Further Ado is coming out of the Bluegrass Stakes. The Bluegrass Stakes has not had a Derby winner come out of the Bluegrass Stakes since 2007 for Street Sense. The last one to win the Derby coming out of the Bluegrass Stakes was Strike the Gold all the way back in 1991. A couple of similarities here for Street Sense. Street Sense won the Tampa Bay Derby and ran second in the Bluegrass. Further Ado sort of flipped the script. Ran second in the Tampa Bay Derby and won the Bluegrass. I don't know how often these jinxes or whatever. He didn't really beat much in that last race, and he ran a big lifetime top buyer of 106. And sometimes that's not a great sign going into the Kentucky Derby as well. His regular rider, Irad Ortiz, jumps to the rail horse Renegade. He also jumped off of a couple other he could have been in here, but Johnny V up. Johnny V's won this race before. Brad Cox has been loaded for bear, so I'm going to go with the 18, Further Ado, as my second choice.
And my third selection here, I'm going to go to the 15, Emerging Market. Chad Brown training on this one, Flavian Pratt with the mount. 15-1 morning line on Emerging Market. This horse won the Louisiana Derby by a head with Flavian Pratt aboard, broke its maiden at Tampa by 1 3/4 with Flavian Pratt aboard, was the betting favorite in the Louisiana Derby, went off at 2-1 in that one. This is another horse that is bred to handle the distance. It's a Candy Ride out of an Empire Maker dam. And again, just like we talked about, we're looking for horses in here that can handle the stretch out. This is the furthest any of these horses have run, and this one is bred as well as any of them to be able to handle the distance and the stretch out. So I like Flavian Pratt keeping the mount here. He's been on the last 2 times, but I really, this is a breeding play for me, and a nice morning line of 15-1. So the 15. Emerging Market, Klaravich Stables, Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt. I'm going to make that my third selection in here.
Yeah, the horse is certainly bred to get the distance. You got top connections in here. In the history of the Kentucky Derby, I think 3 horses have won it in their third lifetime start. I mean, not only has he not run as a 2-year-old, but he's only going to be making his third lifetime start. There's not a lot of foundation, but those were 2 pretty gutsy performances in his first 2 lifetime starts. Third choice for me, I will go to your top pick, the 6, Commandment, Florida Derby winner. This horse really checks off all of the boxes. He ran as a 2-year-old. He's got a win over the Churchill Downs surface. He's coming into this race right. Has two triple-digit buyer speed figures. I'm not 100% sure that he wants a 1.25 miles, although Into Mischief certainly can get there. Orb did win the Kentucky Derby, so you would think that the dam side would produce a little bit more stamina than it has, but they're really more of a mile and an eighth horses. But again, Brad Cox coming into this race loaded. This is another one that Flavian Pratt could have rode. He's elsewhere. Irad could have rode. He's elsewhere. But you lose nothing in Louis Saez trying to avenge his disqualification on Maximum Security.
Yeah. So, we can talk about who else you want to talk about. There's so many horses with a chance. I couldn't in good conscience give out Patente on my top 3 just because I think I've mentioned several times I've got a 99-1 bet at $100 on him, and I got a 45-1 bet at $100 on him. So I didn't want anybody to think that was clouding my judgment. I really, he's got a chance as long as that last workout didn't take too much out of him. He obviously loves the surface. The Puma is another one that's bred to go all day at this distance at 10-1. And neither of us talked about the morning line favorite, which is the 1 Renegade. I don't know if you were going to throw anything in about Renegade, why you don't like him.
If he had drawn anything except for the 1 hole, I probably would have definitely had him in my top 3. That's the worst possible post position you can have. He checks off a lot of the boxes as well. He's won at 3 different tracks. He's coming into this race off of a 82, 93, 98 buyer. There's so many. That 1 post position, can he get into the trifecta? Absolutely. Your Chief Wallaby horse makes a lot of sense, and we're sort of ignoring the other Santa Anita Derby, the two most prolific prep races for this race, the Florida Derby and the Santa Anita Derby, and you've got So Happy out there. But he's out of Run Happy. Does Run Happy really want to go 1.25 miles? I'm not so sure about that. He kind of had everything his own way in the Santa Anita Derby. So plenty of angles you can take here. I did tell you when we were drinking bourbon that because this is the last year that they're going to run the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct, that I'm going to put $5 on anybody leaving the Wood Memorial. So, maybe I'll get Oselli at 79-1 or 5 to win. But this is a really, really wide open field. When I get close to the race, I'm spread deep. If I do get alive in that 2-day bet, I've got 9-10 horses on my ticket. So, I've got a lot of these, the ones that you've talked about. So, we shall see.
All right. Anything else we want to add on the Kentucky Derby? We ready to move on to race 13?
No, I would just say we always talk about, you got to have a little skin in the game. So keep, watch the tote board. If you think you're getting fair odds on somebody, if somebody's drifting up in odds, you say, you know what, I'm just not going to let that horse go off like that. Look for that value play.
All right, so my top 3, 6, 12, 15. Your top 3, 14, 18, 6.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to boring-ass race 13.
Boring-ass race 13 at Churchill Downs. We got $125,000 non-winners of one other than for 3-year-olds. We're going 6.5 furlongs on the main track.
My top selection in here, I've got the 8 Gilded Bandit. Bill Mott training on this one. Junior Alvarado with the mount. 3-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Keeneland in a maiden 110. Broke its maiden going 6.5 there by a half a length with Junior Alvarado aboard. Took good money in that one. Went off a little more than 3-1. He had to check this horse at the 7/16 pole. So he checked it at the 7/16 and still got up for the win by a half a length. That was first time blinkers for this horse. Bill Mott leaving the blinkers on, liked the result. There was a nice Brisnet speed figure increase in that one, 90 to a 99. Takes the next step forward today. You're going to see something that is the highest last race speed rating of anybody in this field here going today. Decent morning line of 3-1 on solid connections. Pin Oak, Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, the 8 Gilded Bandit. That's my top selection.
My top selection, I'll go all the way to the outside. The 11 Noble Affair for Steve Atkinson, Watham Racing. Spent $600,000 on this colt. Started it off on the grass at the fairgrounds, and then decided from there to try the dirt. 6 furlongs, a 93 buyer, did not disappoint in that one. And then last time out, second race as a 3-year-old at Oaklawn Park, just missed with IRAD up as the 3-5 favorite there. Now shipping into Churchill, has a steady series of works, 3 workouts over the turf, over the dirt course there. I think all systems are go. Like a little bit, not really a stretch out because it's only a half a furlong, but I think that 6.5 furlongs suit this one just fine. Obviously a horse that they've always thought had some potential for 600,000. So I'll make the 11 Noble Affair my top choice.
My second selection here, I'm going to go to the 10 Butane. Bob Baffert training on this one. IRAD with the mount. 5-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen running in the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. Going a mile and an eighth there. 11th out of 12 horses. That's not very good. Didn't take any money in that one either. Went off at 10-1. So obviously a drop-in class here today. Going back to a sprint. Going back down to 6.5 furlongs from a mile and an eighth. Not real sure what old Bobby was thinking there. Because this horse broke its maiden at 6 furlongs by 3.5 at Del Mar. That was back in August of last year and was the betting favorite in that race. So made its debut. They bet the shit out of it and then went right into the Hopeful, which is 7 furlongs. And then the San Vicente, which is also 7 furlongs. He's been slowly stretching this horse out and finally said, fuck it, we're going back to a sprint. This is going to be a first-time Lasix for this horse, and Bob Baffert, gaudy stats, first-time Lasix hitting at 32%. So no great shakes on the morning line on this one, but the 10 Butane, that's going to be my my second selection in here.
Yeah, my second selection, I'll go to the rail horse, the 1 Small Town for Michael McCarthy, Grantley Acres, Homebred, and Flavian Pratt's up for this one. Horse broke its maiden first time out at Turfway Park, going 6 furlongs back in January of this year. Won pretty easily with Walter Rodriguez aboard. Came back the next time, stretched out to a mile, and went off the betting favorite there. I just went ahead and drew a line through that race. I don't think this horse really wants to go a mile. They turned it back on March 21st into the Animal Kingdom Stakes, where it ran a much better race. It was beaten second by 4 by a nice horse called Outfielder, but he was 3.5 lengths clear of the third place finisher. I know there were only 5 in that one. Little bit more distance in there today for the 6.5 furlongs for Michael McCarthy. Does have some history with Flavian Pratt back from their California days, and it's a pretty nice morning line of 8-1. So I'll make the 1 Small Town my second choice.
And the 1 Small Town is my third selection. I mean, this is a pretty simple play for me. 3 consecutive starts at Turfway Park on the all-weather, and now finally getting a chance to try the dirt. So looking for an improvement while moving back to the dirt, and Flavian Pratt riding real well. I got him at 11 starts in the last 7 days and 4 wins, but again, I did print these on Tuesday. So the 1 horse Small Town, that's my third selection.
And my third selection, I'll go to the 5 Hulkamania for Whit Beckman and Hooley Racing. Tyler Gaffleone's up for this one. This
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah. Oh, you little Hulksters better be betting this one across the board.
That's pretty good.
Oh, thank you. This one broke its maiden first time out, going 7. A pretty tough, pretty tricky distance for a first-time starter. Going 7 furlongs in Tampa Bay, and won so easy that what happened? Oh, Derby aspirations. Let's try the Tampa Bay Derby. Not. The Beyer still ticked up 1 point in that race. I did find that interesting. I don't think this horse really wants to go a mile and a 16th, let alone farther than that. It didn't have Lasix that day. It's getting Lasix back today, turning back to 6.5 furlongs. It already won at 7. Solid connections with Tyler Gaffleone and Whit Beckman, and a nice 8-1 morning line. I'm going to make the 5 Hulkamania my third choice.
All right, so I'm 8-10-1. You're 11-1-5.
Correct.
All right, we're coming down the stretch.
Race 14. When does this race go off? Tomorrow?
Yeah, it's 7:30 Central Time. So that would be 9 hours after first post. 9.5 hours after first post at Churchill. 9.5
Very
hours
nice.
of racing.
Okay, race 14 at Churchill Downs. We've got a maiden special weight for maidens 3-year-olds and up to close it out, going 7 furlongs on the main track. And I hope you're alive and all kinds of stuff, because you're going to get paid.
What is an odd versus even bet?
So sometimes they'll put up numbers like the 1, 3, 5 versus the 4, 8, 12.
Okay.
And you get to bet you want the odd horses or the even horses, and it's never worth playing. You put up $2 and you get back a high payoff would be like $3.12.
So
it's a good bet for people that want to have some action if they're just sort of coming into the sport. I'm surprised they don't suspend that bet for Kentucky Derby Day. You know, like the superfectas, you can't bet 10-cent superfectas. The minimum superfecta is $1 to keep people from standing at the machine bet, for 20 minutes. I'm surprised they don't suspend that for Derby Day, but that's what the odd and even bet's all about. It's nothing you want to get involved with.
I am surprised that they even have that bet with race 14. I don't know who's still going to be left in the stands at race 14 or who's still going to be sober.
Well, there'll be plenty left in the infield. You might have to scrape a few of them up off the ground, but they'll be out there.
My top selection in here, I'm going to go to the 9, Big Jake. Bob Baffert training on this one. Flavian Pratt with the mount. 8-1 morning line on this one. This is a first-time starter. And as you mentioned it early on in the podcast, Bob Baffert's not messing around when he ships them in here. So first-time starter today and a nice morning line at 8-1. This is an Army Mule out of an Uncle Mo mare. Army Mules have been running off the track, first-time starters, winning an 18% clip in this one. They only paid $150,000 for this one. I say only, after a $25,000 stud fee. But you can't argue with what Baffert does with his first-time starters. You can't argue what he does at debut maiden special weights, and you certainly can't argue with what he's doing when he's shipping horses in here on the undercard. So I get a nice morning line of 8-1 on the 9, Big Jake. I'm going to make that my top selection.
Yeah, he's certainly not messing around when he ships horses in that his wife owns too. So
I missed that. I didn't even pay attention to that. So, okay, there you go. Here you go, honey.
Top selection, I'm going to go to the rail horse, the 1, Boylston, for William Walden and OXO Equine. This is an OXO Equine homebred. Johnny Velasquez is up for this one. This one's been working out down at Palm Meadows and then was working out at Keeneland and then finally got a race over the Churchill Downs surface. I don't know if they were just something happened. The works look pretty steady, or they just wanted to debut this one on the biggest stage there is. This is a practical joke out of a real nice mare named Blue Prize. OXO Equine been known to spend money at the auction, but this one that they bred, Johnny V's up for it. 18% when he runs for William Walden. Like I said, I found it interesting that this is where they're going to debut this horse. Not crazy about first-time starters on the rail. I don't think anyone is necessarily, but 10-1 morning line got me intrigued. I'll go to the 1, Boylston, as my top choice.
My second selection here, I'm going to go to the 8, Find No Fault. Dale Roman's training on this one. Tyler Gaffleone with the mount. 9-2 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen 29th of March at Gulfstream. Going 6 furlongs and a maiden 84 there. Second by 2 1/4 with Tyler Gaffleone aboard. Took some good money for the debut. Went off at a little more than 3-1. Didn't switch its lead. Kept on and didn't switch its lead. We understand how frustrating that can be when you got a horse that won't switch its lead. This one didn't switch its lead and still got up for second by 2 1/4, and the comments say kept on. They solved that little training problem here today. I think you're really going to see something. Horse that finished third in that race came back and broke its maiden. So it did beat a horse, came back and broke its maiden without switching its lead. So they can get that thing figured out today. Nice square morning line of 9-2 on the 8. Find No Fault. Going to make that my second selection in here.
Yeah, my second selection, I'll go to your top choice, the 9, Big Jake, for Bob and Natalie Baffert. Flavian Pratt's up for this one. Baffert's definitely, he could have kept this horse in California all day long. Doesn't have a work over the track here, but decided to ship it out again on the big stage. He wants to show it off for his wife. Army Mule, you pointed out, is a good first out sire, and like the workouts in California. That's for sure. That April 10th workout, 47th handily from the gate. But they do tend to work a little bit faster out there. But I'm sure he's got this one primed. The 9, Big Jake, that's my second choice.
And my third selection here, I am going to go to the 6, Prize Pick. Brian Lynch training on this one. It wouldn't be a card without a Joel Rosario mount in here to screw it up. 12-1 morning line on this one. This horse was last seen at Keeneland going a mile over the turf there in a maiden 110 with Joel Rosario aboard, and of course was the betting favorite in that race at 3.5-1, and of course he finishes 5 out of 12 horses, 5 1/4 back. But what I did note is that this horse went to the turf 2 races back at Gulfstream and was third by a length with Joe Bravo up. Horse made its first 3 starts on the dirt, and then they decided to move it to the turf, where it kind of became a different horse. The Brisnet speed figure went up first race on the turf, and then held on that second race on the turf when it stretched out to a mile. Horse really probably didn't want to go a mile, so we're backing back down to 7 furlongs today. I think the horse is going to like the turn back, going back to what's considered to be a sprint. And let's just hope Joel Rosario can't screw this one up, because if he doesn't, you get a nice morning line of 12-1. So the 6, Prize Pick, that's going to be my third selection in here.
Yeah, that didn't make it into my top 3, but I certainly think that one has some ability and is live in here. Did you mention post relief the last 2 times out, the 10 hole and then the 1
nope.
hole? And the forgotten
sure
favorite angle here. So there's some things to like. Rosario staying on to make amends. Like I said, it didn't make it into my top 3, but certainly wouldn't be surprised to see that one run big. Third selection, I'll go all the way to the outside, the 14, Brave Pilot. This is a Juddmonte homebred for Michael McCarthy, again debuting on the big stage here. Real nice, has some real nice workouts here. This one's been at Churchill Downs and has really been burning up the track in the morning. Unfortunately, they don't run the races in the morning. They run them in the afternoon, and pretty tough outposted at the 14, but out of a real nice stakes-winning mare, Princess Karen. She won some overnights and was graded stakes placed. I don't think she actually won any graded stakes, but if it's Juddmonte, you know it's got ability. 14-1 morning line for California connections, McCarthy and JJ. I'll make the 14 Brave Pilot my third choice.
All right, so I'm 9-8-6. You're 1-9-14.
That's it.
We hit the wire. Still 2 hours. Can you imagine if we were giving out 4?
Well, just don't send me, when my fourth choice triggers a $4,000 pick 4, don't send me some snarky thing that says, you never mentioned that horse at all.
We couldn't do a 3-hour podcast today. I didn't want to do a 2-hour podcast.
Well, most people tuned out already. The Derby, who gives a shit? I'm out. Except for Michelle. She's loyal. She's probably still hanging in there.
All right. Anything else?
Although it's early where she's at, so
she'll be on there. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No. I think we're good to go. If you'd like a shout out or you want to send anonymous jockey pictures to Mike, hit him up on X, and we'll give you a shout out on next week's show.
So that's going to do it for us this week. Remember, always sprinkle a little money on the gray horse, and you're never broken the track as long as the friend you brought with you still has